To remember to cut it at 10 minutes, right? Yes, yes.
Okay, hi everyone, my name is Jessica, this is Ruby. We are presenting probability and statistics in elementary. Does this not work?
No. Oh wait, it has an hourglass. There you go.
Okay. Okay, probability and statistics. We found a quote in the Journal for Research in Mathematics that we think summed up the bulk of what we're trying to get across today. The experience of psychologists, educators, and statisticians alike is that a large proportion of students, even in college, do not understand many of the basic statistical concepts they have studied. Inadequacies in prerequisite mathematical skills and abstract reasoning are part of the problem. In addition, research in cognitive science demonstrates the prevalence of some intuitive ways of thinking that interfere with the learning of correct statistical reasoning. And basically what this says is that students aren't learning probability and statistics early enough, and they're not developing those basic concepts that they need to develop further along the ways. When we think of probability and statistics, we think of, high school or college, but it does happen in elementary, and that's where the fundamentals occur, and not enough students are grasping that concept, which puts them further behind later on. So it is very important that we learn probability and statistics. Today we have three main objectives. First of all, like I just said, we don't think of probability and statistics in the elementary level. So we want you guys to understand what exactly it means, and we also want to teach you at least one or two activities for you to use later on for your students to teach them. And also, as is important for every lesson that we do, regardless of subject, is to make real-world connections so that we understand, when we actually use this information in the real life. For this, there are 5 content standards in the New York State Standards for elementary. It varies depending on grade level, but just to give you a basic idea of the information, most importantly is collection of data. Using observations, surveys, polls, newspaper articles. You can basically take any information and collect it, and then following, you need to organize that. There's different ways to display the information, pie graphs, bar graphs, line charts, etc. And then analyze that data. The students have to be able to read it, have to be able to compare 2 different graphs and understand what that graph represents. We also need to make predictions from that data, and then in the older elementary classrooms we also work with probability, learning what's the chance of when we flip a coin, whether it's heads or tails.
Okay, so the first one is probability, and that is also known as chance, and it's the measure of the likelihood that an event is likely or not likely to happen. It can be expressed as a fraction, decimal, or percentage, and it falls between 0 and 1. So if an event is certain to happen, it's 1. If it's never going to happen, it's 0. And normally we fall somewhere between 0 and 1. So it'll be a fraction or a decimal or a ratio of percent. Statistics is a scientific application of mathematical principles, and statistics is not a part of math. It's sort of a really close friend of math, and they work together. And so we have descriptive statistics and we have inferential statistics. This one, this descriptive will, describe what you're looking at, the graphs, what's being measured. Inferential is the one where we sample and, maybe we take a survey of, where does the class want to go on a trip, and based on that, the whole grade will go on the trip, or something like that. Probability and statistics are everywhere, every day of our lives, starting with the weather. Population growth and changes, surveys and polls, sports, lotteries, marketing and advertising, stock market. it's used in fields like medicine, psychology, education. It might determine, how much do you pay for school, because how many students are going to the school and who can afford what kind of loans can you get, how much do you pay for your car insurance, anything like that will have to do with statistics.
As with mostly everything we've learned this semester with math, we want our students to have hands-on activities and games. It's important for them to use manipulatives and to understand the information and us not just spitting out definitions. Technology for this aspect of the curriculum is very, very important. There are a lot of simulations online. On the Illuminations website alone, I know they have virtual spinners, they do coin tosses, dice rolls, which are all activities that will be incorporated into your lesson plans. There's a ton of different games as well, and different videos involving that. A lot of short films on YouTube. In one of our lessons we use one. And with every other lesson, it's also important to connect to our students' lives, make it relevant to them, make it fun for them, and make them want to learn about it. From kindergarten to 8th grade, there are different developmental skills that we want to use with this. In the early levels, we just focus on organizing the data. It's not important for them to know how to create a graph, more importantly how to take the information and be able to verbally speak about what it means. Grades 3 through 5, they develop a little bit more. They experiment with different types of basic graphs, bar graph, line graph, and pie chart. They learn what the different symbols mean, and recognize percentages and fractions, and learn how to use those vocabulary in with their graphs. And then from 6 through 8, which is a little bit older than what we're focusing on, they start to learn mean, median, and mode, and all those fun vocabularies, comparing different types of graphs, and a lot more in-depth information. So today we're talking about our 5th grade lesson. The state standards that it goes under is collecting and recording data, which I said is probably the most important aspect of this in the elementary level, from a variety of sources. Though since 5th grade is a little bit older, we want them to be dealing with a couple different sources, and we want them to be able to formulate conclusions and make predictions from the graphs. And in this instance, we're actually working with 2 different types of graphs, so they can compare and contrast, which one gives them the better information in this particular example. The objectives for this lesson is to collect the raw data and put it into the tables, and then to create a bar graph and a pictograph from that set of data, and like I just said, to compare the 2 and see how the visual differs, but it's the same type of information.
So we would start our hook, our before activity, by putting up a map of the United States, and our activity is to find out which state has the longest name, who has the most letters in it. So by looking at the map, can you tell? Can you tell which one has the most letters or which one has the fewest letters? Just by looking?
Can anyone tell?
Anyone?
Pennsylvania, Tennessee?
Or Tennessee.
Okay, those are
okay,
good predictions.
Yes. So then, what we would do in the class, but for the sake of time, we aren't necessarily going to do here, is we'd split you up into 5 groups, and then each group would take 10 states. And they would just, count out how many letters are in each state, and we would want, we would ask them, how do you make sure that you're counting each letter, that you're not missing a letter? When I was doing one, I actually missed a letter because some of the names look smaller with just I's and L's and things like that. So, we're hoping they come up with strategies. Can you think of a strategy? Of making sure that you count all the letters and don't skip any, or?
Cross it out.
Yes. Okay, so let's say we cross out each letter as we go, and then we write down our total number, and then we would find, each group would find their totals, and then they would share it with each other, and we would fill it out all together. And this is actually an application that goes to a website, and it actually gives you the numbers. And can you open it?
Yeah. basically what we were trying to do by showing these different types of graphs